Fox Sports.
We are Fox. We are Detroit.
Tigers baseball on Fox Sports Detroit is presented by Bell Tire. The last 2 months of 2015, Tigers fans were treated to the Justin Verlander of old. In his last 14 starts, JV posted an ERA of 2.27. Verlander will be on the hill this afternoon on a gorgeous day for baseball here in Central Florida. Welcome to Joker Marchant Stadium. Today, spring training baseball features the Tigers and the Atlanta Braves. Hi again, everyone. Welcome to Tigers Baseball. Mario and Pemba alongside Rod Allen. Glad to have you with us for spring training baseball here this afternoon. Our first telecast together for 2016. Rod, and why not go big? JV on the hill. He was awfully good toward the tail end of last year.
Well, he'll be the opening day starter this year for the Tigers when they head south down to Miami. And you talked about the 2.27 ERA, but what I really loved about Verlander in his last 14 starts, really moving that fastball inside, outside, outstanding slider all year last year, mixing in curveballs, also changeups. He's healthy this spring training. I'm looking forward to watching him today, and I'm looking forward to a healthy season out of Justin Verlander.
It'll be his third spring start of the campaign here today in Lakeland. Also later today in the broadcast, we'll chat with Rich Doobie, the pitching coach of the Tigers, to get his thoughts on Verlander and the rest of the staff as well. Stay with us. Great day for baseball here in Lakeland. The Braves are in town. Tigers and Braves. Spring training baseball next on Fox Sports Detroit.
To create the
Well represented here in Lakeland, Florida, as we get you ready for baseball here this afternoon on a warm day. It is supposed to be 89 degrees later this afternoon, so it is a great day for baseball. Somebody's got to do it right. It might as well be us.
Yeah, just make sure those folks get the sunscreen on out there today, though.
Spring training baseball 2016 continues from Lakeland, Florida. The Tigers taking on the Atlanta Braves in this one here this afternoon. Their starting lineup is presented by the Metro Detroit Chevy dealers. For the Atlanta Braves, Ender Inciarte will lead things off. He's the DH, followed by Ibar and Swisher, Garcia, Flowers, and Bourne, your middle three. And about three of Jeff Francoeur, who returns to Atlanta this year. Gordon Beckham, the former White Sox, and Emilio Bonifacio will round out the lineup. And they will face Justin Verlander, who in his last start went 3 scoreless against the Nationals, and they threw out their A team pretty much that day. And Justin looking pretty good this spring.
Hey, Justin is healthy and looking very good on the mound this year, and he looked very good in his last 14 starts of the regular season in 2015. Let's hope he gets off to that kind of start this year.
So Ender Inciarte will start things off for the Braves, and here we go. The first pitch of today's ball game is a strike called on Inciarte.
Just the way that Justin likes to start off the ball game, anywhere from 90 to 91 to 92 with his fastball.
Inciarte is the designated hitter. 400 this spring for the Braves. He has knocked in 1 run, 26 years of age, Inciarte, and he came over in a deal which involved Dansby Swanson, a really good prospect. The Braves kind of beefing up for the future, so to speak. They gave up Shelby Miller in that deal. There's a wave and a miss.
Inciarte had a really nice year in Arizona a season ago. Hit over 300. He had 6 home runs. He drove in 45, but he also stole 21 bases, and he can play all 3 outfield spots. So he's very valuable to this Braves team.
Verlander now with the 1-2 pitch. Inciarte to be followed by Ibar and Swisher on a gorgeous afternoon.
And we're going to see quite a bit of the Tigers starting pitchers this year really work inside with the fastball. You see Justin goes inside there to Inciarte. That's what Rich Doobie, the new pitching coach, wants his pitchers to do, and Brad Ausmus, the manager.
Again, the 1-2. The hook stayed high and away. 2 balls, 2 strikes now on Inciarte.
Looked like Justin kind of slowed his arm motion down throwing that last off-speed pitch. I don't think I've really ever seen Justin do that. Usually he has outstanding arm speed when throwing his fastball or his changeup and his slider, but he kind of slowed down that time.
Here's the 2-2. Down the left field line, but foul.
Some things never change as far as Justin Verlander is concerned, and that's all the foul balls that he gives up while he's on the mound, which kind of gets that pitch count elevated.
It's been that way, really, Rod, since he arrived in the big leagues, and you wonder, you know, there have been several explanations for that. His stuff is so good, and obviously the pitch counts have been elevated over the years, but boy, if he can get some quick outs, it would certainly serve him much better. And again, the 2-2. Running full now, 3-2 on Inciarte. Well, the Tigers about halfway through, not quite, about halfway through spring camp. And there's Brad Ausmus skippering the team for his 3rd consecutive year. And as they always say in spring training, wins and losses don't mean a whole lot, but if you got to play them, you might as well win.
Yeah, they'd like to stay right around 500, exactly where they're at. Also see quite a few of their young players. They've done that and keep everybody healthy for the most part.
Full count pitch is hammered to the air to center field on a line. And right there is Collins, 1 gone.
Let's take a look at the Tigers starting defense. It's presented by Beaumont Health. You talked about Collins. Well, he's in center field today, and he might get some time there during the regular season. Upton in left field. J.D. Martinez in right. At the infield, 3rd to 1st reads Castellanos, Aviles, Kinsler, the big fella. Miguel Cabrera anchored at 1st. And James McCann, the starting catcher this afternoon.
Well, everybody comes to see Miguel Cabrera play, and he's in the lineup just about every day for Brad Ausmus, rounding into shape as we head toward opening day, and it's been a healthy spring so far for Miggy. Let's also hammer to center. Collins will have another opportunity, 2 gone.
Nice conversation with Miguel this afternoon while he was taking batting practice, and he says he feels great. He told me he was 100% healthy right now, which he hasn't really been the last couple of springs. So I'm looking forward to Miggy going out and getting back to that 25 home run plateau and 100 RBIs, which he did not get last year for the first time in, can you believe it, 11 years.
Yeah, it's hard to believe. It was a frustrating season for Cabrera, but if a frustrating season means you win the batting title, you know you're pretty good.
And a Silver Slugger award.
That's right.
And Tigers employing the shift here with Nick Swisher. Castellanos vacates his 3rd base position. Now he's anchored in shallow right field.
Nick Swisher is standing in with 2 outs. And I guess at this point in his career, we can say the much traveled Nick Swisher. He has been with a lot of different teams. Broke in with the A's, of course.
Yankees, Cleveland.
That's a long list. Swisher cuts and misses. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Real nice change piece there thrown by Verlander. That ball came out of his hand nicely, and he did not decelerate with the arm speed. That's a fast arm there, and of course the way that you hold that baseball in the palm of your hand decreases the velocity.
Swisher thought about it and missed outside. 2-1 on Nick.
Something the Tigers have been working on down here, Mario, and you're starting to see more teams do it, especially with all the shift now in baseball, is that you have to practice your cutoffs and relays when you're in a shift now, where you used to didn't have to do that during spring training, but now guys are in different positions, so you have to make sure guys get to the proper spot when the ball is hit.
That is skied in the air to center field. It'll be routine for Collins. And Justin Verlander has himself a 1-2-3 first inning, and we head to the bottom of the first. And they score. With a 1-2-3 top of the first inning. Here come the Tigers now in the bottom of the first. Their starting lineup presented by your Southeast Michigan Ford dealers here today. It'll be Kinsler at the top. He'll play second base, followed by Upton and Cabrera. Saltalamacchia, the DH this afternoon. No Victor Martinez. J.D. Martinez at right. Castellanos at third. Bottom 3 today features Collins, McCann, and Aviles is playing short for Brad Ausmus, and they are facing the right-handed offerings of Bud Norris.
And Bud Norris will occupy one of the starting spots in the rotation this year for Freddie Gonzalez's Atlanta Braves. 2 years ago, 15 games for the Baltimore Orioles, but took a step back last year, not pitching nearly as well in Baltimore and with the Padres.
Yeah, he took a major step back last season, and Kinsler greets him with a drive to the gap in the left center field. It'll go all the way to the warning track. Ian is on his way to second with a leadoff double, and man, has he been red hot.
Well, he ended the season last year red hot, had 185 knocks, and look at the shoulders, how parallel they are to the ground, which allows him to get on top of the baseball and hit a really nice line drive into left center field. And by the time that ball is ran down by Bonifacio, Ian Kinsler coasting in the second.
He came in batting .391. That'll up his numbers a little bit as Justin Upton stands in. It's been a slow go so far for the new Tiger. Upton batting .158 this spring. Very quickly has an RBI chance in this one.
And we'll see if he wants to move at least Kinsler over to third base early in spring training game, just to get him over to third base, less than 2 outs, the way the game's supposed to be played.
Norris throws into center field. Kinsler will head to third base. There was nobody covering the bag, and Norris just let it fly.
Oops.
There's probably no better way to describe that.
And Beckham didn't have a shot at catching that errant throw by Norris.
That'll be an error. on the pitcher. That was an easy call there. So Kinsler will move up the easy way, and now Upton will try and get him in. Justin has knocked in a couple this spring so far. Swing and a miss, 0-1.
These are the runs that you have to pick up. The infield for the Braves is relaxed. Anything hit on the ground at any of the defenders will score Ian Kinsler in this situation. So if you're Upton, you have to make sure you at least put the ball in play.
Upton, another healthy cut in the count, quickly 0-2.
Bud Norris has just thrown 2 fastballs right by Justin at 92 miles an hour.
Upton, of course, really good numbers. One of the big offseason signings for the Tigers. A very late signing, but still. Big numbers last year. 26 homers, 81 driven in over in the National League. Norris just missed the outside part of the plate.
He is just 28 years old, Justin Upton, and he's right in the prime of his career. And I would expect that he has a huge year this year, especially if he bats second in front of Miguel Cabrera. He's going to get lots of fastballs to hit. Going to get lots of really good pitches to hit.
That'll get away from the catcher. Here comes Kinsler trying to score. He will. A wild pitch got away from Tyler Flowers, and very quickly the Tigers score a first-inning run.
It's something that the Tigers have been really working on all spring training, and that's improving their base running, whether they're on third base or whether they're on first base. Real nice anticipation by Kinsler, who had his momentum already carrying him toward home plate. And as soon as the ball hit the dirt, Ian was able to score. Look at how quick a jump he gets right here. Tigers really want to improve this year on their base running skills. And, of course, Kinsler is a good base runner.
The 2-2 is low. 3 balls, 2 strikes now on Upton.
How about that? A double, an E1, and a wild pitch to score Ian for the first run of the contest.
And to your point, if there's any hesitation at all on that last play, Kinsler probably does not score.
That's a great point.
Now Norris ready. Fouled back out of play, and the count stays 3-2 on Justin Upton.
And Upton not concerned one bit at the fact that he really hasn't swung the bat the way that he is capable in spring training. And really, as a position player, you don't want to start off too hot anyway. You just want to kind of get your at-bats and track some pitching. You'd love to get hits every time you go up there, but if it doesn't happen, a guy that has a proven track record like Justin Upton, you're not going to worry about whether they get hits or not in spring training.
Well, he fell behind 0-2, and he draws the base on balls.
Let's take a look at the Atlanta Braves starting defense. It is brought to you by Tim Hortons. In the outfield, they have Bourne, Bonifacio, and Francoeur, who started his career with the Atlanta Braves. He was Rookie of the Year way back when he broke in. Garcia at third, Ibar at short. Back up, he's at second. Nick Swisher at first, and Tyler Flowers is the catcher today.
A lot of new names in this lineup for the Braves, including Bonifacio. The Braves, of course, are very stocked in terms of their minor league system, so their future is bright, but 2016 might be a little bit rocky. As Cabrera fouls it back, 0-1.
Well, everything the Braves have done the last couple of years under their new leadership team is they're starting to stockpile a lot of talent as they move into their new ballpark next year.
Cabrera batting .316. He's hit a couple of home runs this spring. Tigers off to a quick start today. They lead 1-0 in the first. One ball, one strike on Cabrera. 9th season now in Tigers colors. It's been 9 years already. Can you believe that?
It's been a long time. Yeah, this is going to go down as the greatest free agent signing. Well, not free agent signing, but greatest trade made by the Detroit Tigers in their history to get Miguel Cabrera from the Florida Marlins at that time, and for the package of players that they gave up.
Yeah, it was a really sizable package, but really not too many of them produced a whole lot in the major leagues. Certainly not on the level of Cabrera. That'll get back out of play. 1 ball and 2 strikes on Miguel.
He's such a great hitter. His balance is incredible. Every time he takes a swing in the batter's box, you never see him off balance. Look at the stride. He gets it up, he gets it down, and you can draw an imaginary line right down the center of his body from the bill of his cap to the ground every time he swings. Very seldom is Cabrera off balance.
Cabrera last year limited to just 119 games because of injuries, but still won the batting title. Sends a bouncing ball left side. It'll find a hole, base hit. Upton will go to second and stop there, and the first 3 Tigers have reached.
We're going to make that our bell tire pitch by pitch. Miguel Cabrera really loves to swing at the first pitch just about every time he goes up there, and hit nearly 450 in these types of situations a year ago. But Norris tries to attack him with that fastball, and he just can't get it by Miguel. Here's that sequence. First pitch fastball, lays off a breaking ball, finally gets back to another fastball that he can handle at 94 and hits it through the left side of the infield.
2 on, nobody out, a run in. And Jared Saltalamacchia will stand in. They employ the shift against Saltalamacchia. Norris missing high and away, 1-0.
I was talking to Brad about the shifts yesterday and how, you know, as a defensive team, you have to defend it. In this case, for the Braves, the one thing that you want to do as a manager is you want to make sure that third base is always covered. So many times we see that runner go toward second base and then see where the defenders are out of play. Then he's able to get over to third base.
Big swing there by Saltalamacchia. He is starting in the DH spot today. He's had a really good spring. Victor Martinez suffered that slight hamstring strain yesterday, and Brad said before the game today that they're hopeful for a Saturday return.
Well, Saltalamacchia gives the Tigers a dimension they really don't have a lot of, and that's left-handed bat with some power.
1-1 missing low, 2-1. I think if you look at the construction of the team going into the beginning of the season, Rod, I think one of the areas that we don't speak a whole lot about is the strength they will have on their bench this year compared to recent seasons.
Yeah, they're going to have a couple of guys that can play just about everywhere on the field. That would be Aviles and Romine. You don't know exactly who the backup outfielder is going to be, but it could be Saltalamacchia as the best backup catcher, or it could be McCann. McCann's having a really nice spring, too.
Here's the former Indian Mike Aviles.
He can play everywhere in the infield, and he can spell you in the outfield as well.
Tigers also have gotten good play out of Brian Holiday this spring, who's swinging a red-hot bat. Here's the 3-1. Full count now on Saltalamacchia. We do know this about Jared. Wherever he goes, and he's been with a few different teams in his career, he establishes the franchise record for letters in a last name.
It's a long one.
14 letters worth. Saltalamacchia.
And 3-2 count here. I wouldn't expect that Upton and Miguel would vacate their bases here on the 3-2 delivery, but you never know. It's spring training.
Let's see. The 3-2 runners hold, and it's lined right at the first baseman under the glove of Swisher. And everybody is safe. Swisher got enough of that ball to knock it down, but the bases are loaded.
And just about every single fastball that Norris has thrown in that strike zone, the Tigers hitters have ripped it somewhere. And whether it be Kinsler, Miguel, and now Saltalamacchia, that ball was a frozen rope right at Nick Swisher.
So they're loaded up now for J.D. Martinez, who has begun to heat up a little bit. J.D. has hit 3 home runs this spring. He's knocked in 6.
Boy, what a year he had last year. 38 home runs. He drove in 102. He made an all-star team. Silver Slugger Award as well for J.D. Martinez.
It was this time last year, Rod, that J.D. had to be coming to camp, coming off the really good second half of 2 seasons ago, wondering, a lot of people were wondering, could he replicate that? And so there had to be a little bit of pressure on him coming into camp last year, but man, did he deliver.
Yeah, he had to answer that question a lot early. And the one thing that he kept saying is pressure, you put it on yourself. He says, no one's going to apply pressure to me. He says, I'm the one that controls that. And he went out and had a fabulous season.
92, and he threw it by him. 0-2 the count on Martinez. Tigers an opportunity to bust this one open early. They lead 1-0 in the first inning. .38 home runs last year for Martinez. There's a swing and a miss, and down he goes. So Norris dispatches J.D. on 3 pitches.
It's a pretty nice pitch sequence by Norris. A couple of hard fastballs at 93, 94 to throw by Martinez, and he finishes them off with a really nice breaking ball that was buried at the bottom of the strike zone.
It's been a slugfest early on here for Norris, more of a fist fight. This will be his 22nd pitch coming up already, and he's recorded just 1 out. Here's Castellanos. Nick at 250 this spring. High towering fly ball to right center field. Bonifacio is under it, so is the right fielder, and that's Francoeur who makes the catch. Upton will score with ease. In fact, all 3 runners move up, and it's 2-0 Detroit. RBI for Castellanos, his 2nd of the spring. Two gone now for Tyler Collins. Tyler getting another opportunity to play center field here today. They are shifting once again. 3 defenders to the right of second base. And Collins grounds it foul, 0-1.
Hey, Collins appears to me to be a lot more comfortable this year in spring training. He knows he's a big league player. He performed well down the stretch last year. He can't really control what's going to go on as far as the numbers are concerned and who makes the team as far as outfielders are concerned, but he does know that he is a big league player.
Trying to drive in a couple with a 2-out base hit here, and he looks at the ball low. Well, it seems like Tyler is much more talkative when we see him on the field and in the clubhouse, and I guess that's just a sign of confidence and feeling comfortable, as you say.
He can play all 3 outfield positions. He is playing center today, as you mentioned. Ghost getting the day off. And Cameron Maben not able to play yet with the injury that he has.
It'll miss low and inside, and the count now goes 2-1.
And Tigers are doing an outstanding job here in the first inning at really laying off the borderline pitches that Norris has been featuring in this inning. A lot of favorable counts for the Tigers hitters.
Now the 2-1. Checked it. He went around, says third base umpire Ed Hickox, much to the chagrin of the fans in attendance here. It's pretty close. Yep.
It's really close.
By the way, that ball that Saltalamacchia hit was ruled a single. So the Tigers have 3 hits in this inning. And that's popped in the air to shallow left field. Ibar, the shortstop, to the grass to retire the side. Tigers jump out early, though. They score a pair as we go to the 2nd. Let's jump to a 2-0 lead as we go to the top of the second here in sunny Lakeland, Florida. We mentioned it's going to be a very warm afternoon today, 89 degrees. And Rod, did you know that this is the 80th season now the Tigers have spent here in Lakeland, Florida?
Well, they've had a real nice relationship here with the fine folks of Lakeland. There is no question about that.
And we have yet to convince anyone to let us do a broadcast from the berm out in left field, but we're still working on it. That'd be kind of cool.
We might be able to pull that off next year.
Kind of toasty, too, though. A lot of renovations going on here at Joker Marchant Stadium. It'll be a brand new ballpark here next year. Verlander back to the hill. And he delivers a strike to Adonis Garcia. JV, an easy 1-2-3 inning. 3 fly balls to center field. Here's the 0-1. Garcia this spring, 333, 1 home run.
Outstanding location with that last fastball thrown by Verlander at 89 miles an hour. Absolutely painted it on the outside corner.
Well, Justin hoping to reach opening day healthy, and that's something he wasn't able to do last year. Was sidelined really until mid-June with a tricep strain.
And if he's able to do that, it will be his 8th opening day start for the Detroit Tigers. 8 of the last 9 years, of course. David Price got that nod last season.
2 balls, 2 strikes now on Garcia. Verlander finished up last year at 5-8. Made 20 starts at an ERA in the low 3s. But much of that because of a really good second half. 2-2 is low. 3 balls and 2 strikes on Adonis Garcia. Verlander in his last start threw 51 pitches, and we're at the point of spring camp now where you just try and build on your previous start. This is the 3rd of the spring camp for JV. Swing and a miss. Down he goes.
This is what Verlander can do. Regardless of the count, he can throw any of his breaking balls, whether it be the slider, which that was, or the curveball, or the changeup. Verlander has a lot of confidence in his off-speed pitches.
When you have a toolbox like Verlander does, and it's full of a lot of different pitches, it certainly makes things difficult on a hitter in terms of guys that want to go up there guessing, I suppose.
I just really like the way that he's going about his business these days. He's not concerned with all the whispers of everybody talking about the fastball not as 100 miles an hour as it used to be. He has learned to pitch with 95, 96. Changing speeds on just about everything that he throws. You don't have to throw 100 miles an hour to be a big winner in the big leagues. It helps, though.
Oh, it's awfully nice. Certainly to pull out of your back pocket, but he's back up there at the top of the rotation now in ace status. Tyler Flowers the batter. 1 ball, 1 strike on Flowers. And make no mistake, Rod, they need JV to be the Verlander we saw in the second half last year.
No question about that. If they're going to get to where they want to get to, he's going to have to go out and have a really good year.
2-1 on Flowers.
And some things never change, regardless of the uniform that Flowers wears. When he was wearing the White Sox uniform the last number of years, the Tigers pitching staff gave him a steady diet of off-speed pitches, and Verlander has done that today.
Flowers had modest success in his days with the White Sox. 7 years with Chicago. And JV delivers a strike. 2-2.
And Verlander has been painting that fastball on the outside black. That one at 92 miles an hour.
McCann behind the dish today. Here's the 2-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. So Verlander puts another wrinkle in one and gets another strikeout. 2 gone.
He was able to strike out Garcia for the first out of the inning on a slider. And that time it's a curveball that has Flowers fooled and out in front. And he swings right over the top of it.
5 up, 5 down for the Braves in this one. And here is Michael Bourne standing in with 2 outs. Bourne didn't like that call. Has a little bit of a silent protest for Andy Fletcher.
Second tour of duty for Michael Bourne in the Braves uniform. Last couple of years, he was with the Cleveland Indians before being traded back to Atlanta.
Well, he never really did live up to the contract with the Cleveland Indians. For whatever reason, he just his stolen base numbers were down.
Yeah, he was injured all the time. He really didn't perform well there.
Here's the 0-2. Just off the plate, Verlander missing outside. Born this spring, 273, couple of RBIs.
And going inside with that fastball. Talked to Brad quite a bit yesterday, and Brad was talking about the inside fastball and how he wants a lot more of his pitchers to incorporate that into their repertoire. He says it's one of the toughest pitches to hit, the fastballs that are around the belt buckle on the inner third of home plate. He and Rich Doobie will preach that to their entire staff, hoping to get guys not to be afraid to do it.
Now again, the 1-2. Slap foul, back out of play.
Ball is coming out of Verlander's hand very nicely today, although the velocity's only gotten up to 92. It's a free and easy delivery. Getting to a really nice balanced position with the windup, arm release out in front. And he's throwing straight downhill.
Well, so far, so good for the command as well. And that is chopped foul. That one came right back up and bit Michael Bourne.
And bit him indeed.
Yeah. Good chuckle about it, fortunately.
I feel your pain, brother.
Usually one of those will put you on the ground.
You're trying to walk it off.
Verlander says, "You ready? You okay? Got your breath back?" One ball, two strikes. Little chopper hits slowly down the first base line. It's going to be a foul ball just outside of the bag. Miguel Cabrera could not field it in fair territory.
Everybody's having a laugh at Michael Bourne's expense right now.
Well, the good thing, he's laughing as well. He's going to take a little time here to regroup.
And Miguel was having some fun with him, as was Justin Verlander, and even the first base umpire. And Larry Vanover got into it.
Mickey having fun?
Imagine that.
Bourne batting with 2 outs. 5 in a row retired by Verlander to start this one. Has not been able to put Bourne away, though. Here again, the 1-2. Missed it high. 2-2 now on Bourne. Should he reach, Frank Coor is on deck. Bourne came along with Nick Swisher last year from the Cleveland Indians. He made that deal in August. And he just missed the outside corner. Verlander thought he had strike 3. He was 3 steps to the dugout.
That's a real nice job by James McCann at receiving that last pitch thrown by Verlander. He held it there long enough to see if he could get the call from Andy Fletcher, but Fletcher did not give Verlander that call.
Swing and a miss, didn't matter. Down he goes as Verlander strikes out the side. He's retired 6 in a row. Tigers on top 2-0 as we go to the bottom of the second here at Joker Marchant Stadium in Lakeland, Florida. On a gorgeous afternoon, the Tigers got a pair of runs against Bud Norris in the first, and now they will attack him again here in the second. It'll be McCann, Aviles, and then Kinsler. Good spring so far for James, an even 300 with 1 home run, and he's knocked in 3. McCann last year establishing himself as the lead catcher for the Tigers. Norris gets a strike on McCann with a half swing, 0-1. James last year in his first full season in the majors hit .264, knocked in 41. 1 ball, 1 strike. And many people talk about young catchers, Rod, and that they have to master calling a game, managing a pitching staff before they work about their offense or work for their offense. But it looks like McCann has a pretty decent ceiling in terms of what he can do offensively, too. There's a ground ball to short, 2 steps to his right eye bar.
I agree with that 100%. He has the aptitude to be a really good big league catcher, a good leader on the baseball field. He's only going to get better with his offense. He's going to hit for power as well. Just carries himself like a leader.
Here is Mike Aviles now with 1 out. Aviles again getting the opportunity to play shortstop here today. No Iglesias this afternoon. There's a strike on the former Indian.
I was talking to Matt Martin, one of the Tigers infield coaches, who also works in the video room as well during replays and different things like that. And he was saying how impressed he was with Aviles at shortstop and his arm strength. So he's getting rave reviews already, Aviles.
Meanwhile, Norris has a couple of quick outs, 2 away. We'll bring up the second baseman, Ian Kinsler. Kinsler had a double to start the ball game. In fact, the very first pitch he saw from Norris, he drilled to the gap in left center field. He's one of those guys that tinkered with the swing and his mechanics a little bit in the offseason, and well, he's taken no prisoners here early on in spring camp.
He has really turned himself into a really good hitter the second half of last year, and even starting in spring training this year. It's not that he was a bad player anyway, but he has really matured and turned himself into a well-rounded hitter. Really used right field to his advantage quite a bit last season. There were times last year during spring training where opposing teams, they would overshift Ian Kinsler to the pull field. Now they're doing it a little bit, but not nearly as much as they did last year. The second baseman would have been on the other side of that bag last year.
Here's the 1-1 drill to left field, and that is going to be caught on a slide out there by Michael Bourne. Nifty play. Kinsler has a hit taken away. And the Tigers go 1-2-3 in the second. A little bit of help from the left fielder Bourne. Lead at 2-0 today as we go to the third, and Justin Verlander has had a really good spring so far as we take a deeper look at his numbers presented by Jeep.
He hasn't given up an earned run in 3 starts. He's logged 7 innings, just 5 strikeouts, and 3 base on balls. He's only given up a couple of hits.
Yeah, 6 up, 6 down so far in this one here today as Jeff Francoeur leads it off. Verlander will head that rotation, which of course was bolstered with the acquisition of Zimmerman, Sanchez in the 3 slot. Mike Pelfrey comes over as well. And it's the number 5 spot in the rotation that we're still trying to decide, or at least the Tigers are. Here's the 0-1 to Francoeur. He'll be followed by Beckham and Bonifacio, bottom 3 for the Atlanta Braves.
And the veteran outfielder Francoeur has an opportunity to make the Braves roster once again this year. We talked about him earlier. He started his career as an Atlanta Brave, and the manager Freddie Gonzalez really loves what he can do against left-handed pitching.
Well, we know he's got a cannon for an arm.
He's always had that.
Francoeur, 11 seasons in the major leagues, trying to make the big club this year with the Braves. In February, the Atlanta Braves signed him as a free agent. Chop foul. It's like the Braves right now, Ronnie. You talked about this a little bit in somewhat of a transition, trying to get some veterans in here until some of the youngsters that they have in the minor leagues can get to the big league level.
And Freddie Gonzalez, in the last year of his contract, he's been a really good big league manager. A couple different stops, one in Florida, now in Atlanta. But tough duty for Freddie. I mean, when you have as many young players as he's going to have this year. The future's awfully bright for Atlanta, though. Everybody that you talk to and everything you see written about Atlanta, they will tell you that their farm system is the best in all of baseball. They have that much talent. But that's exactly what it is. It's talent until they get to the big leagues.
Swing and a miss, and finally Verlander dusts off Francoeur, 1 gone. Justin has struck out 4 in a row.
And the velocity only up to about 92 for Justin Verlander most of the afternoon, but he's able to spot that fastball just about anywhere that he wants to. All 4 quadrants of the strike zone, up and in, up and away, down and in, and also down and away, which is what Verlander did down the stretch last year and allowed him to post that 227 earned run average, which was the best in baseball if you go all the way back to July 28th.
Here's another one of those veterans, the Braves sign of the offseason, Gordon Beckham.
How about this? 7 of 8 in first pitch strikes thrown by Justin.
That is a great recipe. Beckham fouls it away, and the count is 0-2.
And I was talking to Rich Doobie yesterday, and he's going to join us, I believe, in the bottom half of this inning. And he was talking about how much of an advantage it is if you get ahead of hitters versus getting behind hitters. So that's one of the things that he's been preaching to his guys, is you must get ahead.
Little chopper right back by Verlander. He'll be backhanded by Kinsler. And there are 2 gone. Looked like JD was going to make that play, and it skittered right by him. 8 straight retired by the Tigers right-hander. As Emilio Bonifacio stands in. It's been a pretty good spring for Bonifacio, 381.
Yeah, one of the things that Bonifacio has always been able to do, and that's run very well, and that's why Castellanos is in on the grass at his respective position at third.
There's a ball low and away from Verlander. Bonifacio last year was one of the off-season acquisitions for the White Sox as they retooled, but he hit only 167 in Chicago last year. 2 balls, no strikes on Bonifacio.
That White Sox team is going to be pretty good this year, along with a lot of the other teams in the Central. I think everybody's gotten better.
Yeah, I think Minnesota's going to be really good too as their young players take the next step.
And you know what Kansas City's going to do.
2-1 on Bonifacio, and the Indians always just seem to be there because of their starting pitching.
Man, they got that quartet of starters, man. If they light comes on for all those guys at the same time in Cleveland, it's going to be nightmares for a lot of the offensive players that go up against that team.
Here's the 2-1. popped him up. Third base side. Castellanos shading his eyes. And Justin Verlander has cruised through the first 3 innings. 9 up, 9 down against Verlander. Top 2-0 as we go to the bottom of the third at Joker Marchant Stadium here in Lakeland, Florida today. And a great day for baseball. Tigers off to a nice start, and it's our pleasure to be joined now by Rich Doobie, the new pitching coach of the Tigers this year. Rich, first of all, a hearty welcome to the Motor City, but how has your transition gone so far in spring camp?
It's gone very smoothly. Really classy group of guys that go about their business the right way, and great staff to work with.
Rich, you have to be pleased with the effort so far through 3 for Verlander, 7 of 9, I believe, in first pitch strikes, but it appears that he's worked in all of his pitches in the 3 innings.
He's doing a nice job of getting some good mixtures of his breaking balls in there, as well as his changeup, and also trying to command his fastball. And so far for the first 3, he's done very, very well.
Justin Upton leading it off for the Tigers here in the bottom of the third. It'll be Upton, Cabrera, and Saltalamacchia. Rich, I know one of the questions coming into camp this year is, that battle for that 5 spot in your rotation. You've seen Norris and Green now, 2 of the guys that are battling for that 5 spot. Your impressions of both of them?
Well, Daniel, of course, is a little bit younger than Norris, that is, and he's got tremendous high upside. He's still trying to find his way for his delivery and his command, and Greeny's done it before in the big leagues with the Yankees as a starter. So we'll continue to let that play out and see how it goes.
Rich, you've been part of some outstanding staffs in your big league coaching days as far as pitchers are concerned. In Philadelphia, you had Roy Halladay and Cole Hamill and Cliff Lee. How does it feel to inherit a really good staff here in Detroit of a veteran starters for the most part?
They can make you look smart. That's the truth of the matter. Good players make you look good, and you gotta find what makes them work and try to keep them in that flow of action.
Miguel Cabrera stands in and skies the first pitch into shallow right field. Francoeur coming in. It's going to drop. Throw to second. He's not going to be in time. They try to get the force. And Francoeur, I don't think just ever saw it.
I don't think Francoeur saw it. I don't think the center fielder Bonifacio saw it. It's a really nice job of base running by Justin Upton, though. Take a look at Justin Upton. I mean, he goes halfway, and he thinks it's going to be caught. But then he started to see that this ball was not going to be caught, and he was able to get himself to second base, whereas most guys get thrown out on a play like that.
So some heads-up play there by Upton. The Tigers have 2 aboard now with nobody out, and Jared Saltalamacchia will stand in.
Rich, I wanted to ask you, when you take over a club and you're the pitching coach, I mean, do you just kind of observe most of the guys in the first couple of weeks of the season, or are you starting to make tweaks as you watch them throw their bullpen sessions when spring training starts?
No, we're starting to get into more of that now. I don't think I have any right, or any coach really has any right to come in and try to put a stamp on things. You try to watch guys, see how their deliveries work, and then go from there. And as you gain their trust and their understanding, then it's a lot easier to try to do different stuff with them, and they're more receptive.
Saltalamacchia batting here with 2 on and nobody out. Tigers up 2-0. We're in the third. And a swing and a miss, 0-2. Well, aside obviously from that 5 spot of the rotation, Rich, you guys are making some determinations on how to fill out your bullpen. You got to be pretty excited about the back end of that bullpen now. You got Frankie Rodriguez, and I don't know, he's kind of been on his own program, but is now starting to pitch in games. But when you look at 7, 8, 9 at the back end of your pen, it's got to feel pretty comforting that you've got some guys that have some big league experience back there.
Oh, absolutely. I think Al and his staff did a great job with getting some experience at the back end. I know last year here was a tough year when you're trying to pitch younger players that aren't established deeper in the game. It can be very, very tough. So we have guys that have been back there in the past and have been very, very successful doing so. So that is a comforting thought.
Here's the 1-2 coming to Saltalamacchia. Snap throw back down to second is not in time. 2 balls, 2 strikes. What about Frankie Rodriguez? You know, he hadn't pitched until just a couple of days ago, and that's just the way that Frankie likes to do it, kind of ease himself into camp. You don't normally see that very often, do you?
No, but, you know, you see him today, and Frankie came in when he did come here to camp. He came in great shape, and his arm was, he certainly had done plenty of throwing before he got here, and, you know, his track record speaks for itself, and he knows how to get ready, and he knows what he needs to be ready for the regular season. So he's a phenomenal teammate, a real good teacher for the younger players. So he's a great addition.
Saltalamacchia called out on strikes. Well, certainly, Rod, the addition of Frankie Rodriguez will certainly help the back end of that pen.
You know, when he came up with the Angels, I mean, this guy was a hard thrower. He had somewhat of a violent delivery as we take a look at some of his days as a Brewer. But his delivery was violent when he first came up to the big leagues. Then he finally figured some things out. He really learned how to pitch, incorporating outstanding changeups with breaking balls. Delivery still somewhat violent, but the numbers the last couple of years in a Brewers uniform were outstanding.
Absolutely. You know, you can't argue with what Frankie's done. I mean, this guy was a power guy at first when he came up, and it's the reason he's pitched, 12-plus seasons, and he's able to improvise and change his ways a little bit, and now he's got an outstanding changeup, a good breaking ball, and he has the ability to read hitters very, very well and kind of have an idea what they're looking for and how they're trying to approach him.
J.D. Martinez up there now with 2 on and 1 out. And he drives this one in the air to center field. Ball is hit well. Bonifacio going back. Track wall looks up, and that ball is off the top of the wall, and it is going to be extra bases. They call it a homer. Now they're going to call it a home run. They are signaling a home run for J.D. Martinez deep to left center field, and the Tigers have broken it open.
Second consecutive day that J.D. Martinez has played long ball to straightaway center field.
Miguel Cabrera stopped around third. He wasn't quite sure if that ball was out. Neither was Dave Clark, but they ruled it a homer.
Real nice, short, easy, quick swing by J.D. Martinez, and the ball just makes a different sound off his bat.
That'll jump the Tiger lead to 5-0.
Rich, I want to ask you a question about starters. Where do you want to get your starting pitchers before they leave spring training as far as how many pitches they throw or innings, and also your bullpen pieces?
Well, we should be up to 100 pitches as a starting rotation each guy. They'll be out there we were comfortable with them going 100 on their first out in the regular season. Bullpen guys, again, most of them will probably get anywhere from 10 to 11 outings or appearances. Some of them might get a little bit more, some of them might get a little less, depending if we feel like we have to stretch them out, and they'll be possibly a middle type guy and extend them and get them up to 45, 50 pitches. So we're comfortable they could go 3 innings when needed.
Nick Castellanos the batter now after the 3-run homer by J.D. Martinez. We're chatting with Rich Doobie, the new pitching coach for the Tigers this year in Detroit. Here's the 1-1. Ripped to left field. That's a base hit. And Castellanos aboard with the 4th Tigers hit of the inning.
Rich, I wanted to ask you questions about the analytics that are in the game today. Of course, you've been a pitching coach for a long, long time, and I'm sure you've had your own statistical numbers that you've always used. But with so many numbers being used these days and shifts and different things like that, One, how do you get your pitchers to absorb what you're trying to tell them what the numbers are concerned? And when they overshift on defense, what are the pitchers supposed to do? Do they pitch to that weakness, or do they still pitch their same game?
Pitch their same game. You know, a lot of guys all of a sudden think if you're righty facing a lefty and they're playing a big shift, then you have to crowd him. And a lot of times you might be pitching to the hitter's strength, actually. So you really don't change your approach that you've had success with those guys. And as far as the rest of the numbers, we've always used numbers. I think, we'll give the numbers that we need to a pitcher, certain ones. But for the most part, it'll be the catchers really that get most of the information, because, again, when things start going fast out there, the catcher's generally the guy that has the pulse that you want, and he's the guy that can really maintain the tempo of the game and maintain the knowledge that he has to have back there.
So what you're saying is, regardless of where the shift is, regardless of where the players are playing, as a pitcher, you still execute your same game plan you were given at the outset of the game.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, usually if you've been getting a guy out a certain way and all of a sudden there's just that shift because that's where he hits the ball all the time, well, you continue to pitch him that same way, and hopefully he does hit the ball right into the shift.
Rays right now taking a look at Bud Norris, who tried to make a circus play on that bunt by Tyler Collins, and they want to make sure that Norris is okay to continue in this game, and it appears that he will. Well, one of the new rules this year, Rich, is that yourself and all the pitching coaches around baseball better make it quick, because you have 30 seconds, apparently, the new rule. Your thoughts on that? And
you in shape?
You get your jogging shoes on?
Well, they said that the average was 33 seconds. And
really?
Yeah, that's what they said, and I'm not sure about that. But, I mean, I don't mind it at all. I should be able to jog out there for one, and then you can always walk back in if you're too tired. But second of all, I don't always know if I have that much to say that it should take more than 30 seconds.
Here is James McCann now with 2 on, and still only 1 out of the inning. McCann bounced out. That was back in the second. He is 0 for 1, and he looks at a ball outside. I want to talk some specifics in your bullpen in the next couple of minutes here, Rich. And talk about Drew Verhagen. He's a guy that last year pitched really well toward the end of the season for the Tigers and has had a really good spring.
Drew's looked very, very well good. He's a tall guy that creates real good leverage. He's got a very good curveball and changeup. So, we continue to look at him. But, a lot of what we'll put together at the end of the spring training is based on what they did last year and how they've looked this spring. And we expect Drew to be a valuable piece if he continues to move forward the way he has.
Bruce Rondon last week looked lights out in the game that he pitched and had that 1-2-3 ninth inning for the save. And then his next outing, he was kind of up and down. What are your thoughts on Rondon? Because here in Detroit, Bruce has been highly thought of for several years now, with a guy that throws 100 miles an hour.
Right. We're trying to get Bruce to do some different things, trying to eliminate the big turn, the shoulder turn in his delivery, which causes a lot of flatness. And the other thing is to pick up his times to the plate. He needs to be able to hold runners, and you can't do it when you're almost 2.0 seconds to the home plate. So we'll see. I mean, he worked on it the other day. He's been working on it, and hopefully he'll move forward working on it and have some success doing so.
How about Justin Wilson out of that bullpen, who pitched in New York last year, did an outstanding job with the inherited runners that he inherited. For the first time in a long time, the Tigers have a really strong left-handed arm down there. What's your early observation of him?
Well, his 95 looks like 100. It's a sneaky fastball, short little cutter, and he's never really had a breaking ball that he's been able to throw with any confidence. So we're spending more time this spring trying to work on a slider that will be, less velocity than his cutter, and also will create a lot more depth in his cutter that he might be able to get some swing over the top of. So he's coming along fine. Again, another good professional, a great guy to have around.
Here's Mike Aviles now with 2 on and 2 outs. The Tigers have scored 3 in the home run by J.D. Martinez. That is belted foul down the left field line. Rich, over the past couple of years, the Royals have gotten so much publicity because of their bullpen, and they've thrown a lot of innings the last couple of years. And I would imagine, as a pitching coach, it goes without speaking that the longer your starting pitchers can go, the less stress on your bullpen, the more, obviously, success you'll have.
Well, absolutely. And, you want your starters to handle the bulk of the work. There's a reason that they're really a starting pitcher. And we're trying to get quicker outs, be more efficient in getting our outs, and, finish hitters a lot faster, which will allow us to get those added innings or two and deeper into a game to allow us to formulate and set up the bullpen the way is going to make us most effective.
Hey, Rich, we appreciate the time you're taking. Welcome again to Detroit, and thanks very much.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right, Rich Doobie, the new pitching coach of the Detroit Tigers, who are putting a hurting on Norris now here in the third inning. That is the fourth run of the inning. They lead now 6-0.
Earlier in the game, they were jumping on just about every fastball that Norris threw up there, but in this particular inning, they've hit some pretty good breaking balls against Bud.
And it's the 6th RBI this spring for Aviles. Here is Ian Kinsler, who has hit the ball hard twice in this game, a double and a line out to left. So the Tigers are beating up on Norris to the tune of 6 runs in this game. Norris, of course, coming off a season last year in which he really struggled. An ERA of almost 7. It was 3-11 last campaign. And Kinsler takes strike 1.
Nice conversation there with Rich Doobie.
Yeah, still trying to, I think, gain some traction here in spring, kind of learning his new pitchers. Of course, the veterans he has probably seen quite a bit, but the youngsters in the Tigers organization. So ground ball to third. Garcia goes the short way to end the inning, but a big inning for the Tigers. They score 4 runs, 3 of them on this swing of the bat by J.D. Martinez. Fun at Comerica Park. Individual game tickets for all Tigers home games are on sale right now. For tickets, visit tigers.com or call 866-66-TIGER. Back here in Lakeland, the Tigers have broken it open now. They lead 6-0 against the Braves. And Verlander goes to work against Ender Inciarte, who looks at a strike right at the knees, 0-1.
And Verlander has been able to throw all of his pitches for strikes so far this afternoon. That was a changeup that he leads Inciarte off with. We've seen a good curveball. We've seen a few sliders.
Ibar will follow, and then Nick Swisher, the top 3 for Atlanta. 9 up, 9 down versus Verlander so far in this game. Justin has also struck out 4 in this contest.
And something else that Justin Verlander doing this afternoon, lots of fastballs up in the strike zone. And very difficult for most left-handers and right-handers to climb the ladder and get on top of a good fastball, and he's been up there with regularity all afternoon long.
Cue down the left field line, fair ball. It'll go toward the left fielder, Upton. Here's the throw to second base, and it's not in time. It'll be a 2-base hit for Ender Inciarte. That'll be the first hit of the game for Atlanta.
The shortstop, number 1, Eric Ibar.
And it was a breaking ball that he cued right down the left field line for a double.
First hit, first base runner. Verlander now has thrown 50 in this game, 34 of which have been strikes, so the ratio has been good. We mentioned in his last start, Justin threw 51 pitches.
Yeah, Justin also 8 of 10 in first pitch strikes so far today.
Here's Eric Ibar. Ball 1. Ibar fly to center field, 0 for 1. Now the Tigers are lined defensively, giving up the line at third base. Castellanos in because Ibar has the ability to bunt and run. Andrelton Simmons went the other way in the Ibar deal. Ibar coming over from the Angels after spending a decade in Halos colors. Fouled straight back. 1 ball, 1 strike on Ibar.
Ibar had some nice years for the Angels, batting right at the top of their batting order. Switch hitter with speed, good defender.
Yeah, he was a fixture in Anaheim for 10 seasons. And the Angels get a slick fielding shortstop in Simmons. Won a Gold Glove and made an all-star team with the Angels. The 1-1.
And there's another one of those fastballs up in the strike zone, strategically thrown by Verlander.
Verlander now at 53 of the pitch count. Ibar waiting on the 1-2. And a bouncing ball right side. Kinsler ranging left. That'll advance the runner, 1 out.
Menards brings you the big money encounter. We talked about Verlander and how good he looks today. A strikeout here on the slide piece, down and away. This was in the very first inning. His next strikeout's going to come on a curveball. We told you he's been incorporating all of his pitches. Here's the curveball. He also has thrown some changeups. And here's the elevated fastball that he's used to his advantage as well today. Real nice start so far by Justin Verlander.
And he's been backed up by 6 runs today. The Tigers have homered in this game. J.D. Martinez 3-run shot. Here's Nick Swisher now. The man at third, 1 out. You know, the Tigers have now hit 28 home runs this spring, which is more than any other team in both the Cactus and the Grapefruit Leagues.
Really?
28, and 16 different Tigers have homered. So the long ball has been flying. JD's was a 3-run shot. Fred's got to be wondering if these numbers will translate into the regular season.
Well, if guys stay healthy, the proven track record of a lot of guys like Victor and JD, Miguel, of course, Justin Upton, they're going to hit quite a few home runs.
Yeah, why not? You would think it would. Fouled back out of play. 1-2 now on Swisher.
The youngster Nick Castellanos down at third base continues to mature. He's going to hit 20 home runs possibly this season.
Yeah, I got him in the book for 20. Nick last year at 15.
He looks like he's in great shape this year too. Playing very well at third base, moving around, making all the plays.
Well, with the offseason training most of these guys do, it seems like everybody comes into camp in great shape. Swisher takes high, 2 balls and 2 strikes. What did you do in the offseason before spring training? I mean, it probably is nothing compared to what these guys do today.
Maybe not as strenuous as some of the guys do today, but I was one of those guys, Mario, that it was never a lock for me to make a major league team. So when I got to spring training, I knew the first couple of weeks of spring training I was going to play a lot. So when I got to spring training, I was always in shape because the veteran players, those are the guys that usually don't play all that much early. But for me, a youngster that was trying to make the team, I came to spring training ready to go from day one.
That paid off for you in '84, didn't it?
It sure did. It really did. It allowed me to make that major league team out of minor league spring training.
The strikeout of Swisher is the second out of the inning, and Verlander now with 5 strikeouts in this game. Here is Adonis Garcia. Justin trying to strand that runner at third. Garcia a strikeout victim in the second. High fly ball, shallow left center field. Staring into the sunlight, it'll be Collins to make the play, and Verlander pitching around the leadoff double. Sports Detroit is brought to you by Comerica Bank. Raise your expectations of what a bank can be. When it's time, come to Comerica. By Jeep. Visit Jeep.com to learn more. And by Weingarts. Everything from lawn to snow. No sign of snow here in Lakeland today, to be sure. Temperature in the mid-80s. Tigers lead 6-0. As we go to the bottom of the 4th inning, Tigers fans enjoying the berm out at left field. Hopefully with plenty of sunscreen and plenty of water. Here come the Tigers now as Justin Upton leads it off.
Good find.
Upton will look at a ball outside. He has a single, a walk, and 2 runs scored in this game. Bud Norris out of the ball game now. And Upton looks at a ball outside. Ball side windows pitching change. It is Jose Ramirez who has come on now for the Atlanta Braves.
And Ramirez has a live arm. His fastball gets all the way up to 97 miles an hour. 5 innings this spring. He has not given up a run. He has punched out 5 and walked only 3. He's got a power arm.
Split time last year with Seattle and the New York Yankees. Most of his campaign last year, though, was spent in the minor leagues. Upton trying to get something going here in the 4th. He'll be followed by Cabrera, then Saltalamacchia. Soft liner caught on a leap by Ibar is short. 1 gone.
I kind of like the fact that Upton's probably going to bat in that number 2 slot ahead of Miguel Cabrera, Victor Martinez, J.D. Martinez. And because of that, Upton should get himself a lot of fastballs to hit this year. And, of course, when he's on base, he's one of those guys that can score from first base should Mickey hit a ball in the gap.
Here is Cabrera. And he'll look at a ball low. Well, I know during Caravan and the entire offseason, everybody was asking Brad Ausmus, where will Upton bat? And that is to be determined. But that 2 spot seems to be a pretty good landing spot for him.
He has options. I mean, of course, he could lead Ghost off. He could bat Kinsler second. Then, of course, you have to put Justin down in the batting order. But I think to start, they're going to have him in that number 2 slot. Starting to see a lot of more managers around baseball have little guys with power in that number 2 spot.
Always nice to have pop at the top of that lineup. Here's the 2-0 pitch. And it's high. 3 balls, no strikes.
And don't know for sure if Miguel will be swinging 3-0 here. But it is spring training. But during the regular season, very seldom will Miguel swing at a 3-0 pitch.
Miggy a single in the first, a single in the third. And he will take this 3-0. It's in there, 3-1. Tigers got a pair of runs in the first. They added 4 more in the third. A 3-run shot. The highlight by J.D. Martinez. And you look at strike 2. Fill the count now. 3-2 on Cabrera. Bud Norris today for the Braves went 3 innings, 9 hits, 6 runs earned. Ouch. And he missed it high. Ball 4. Cabrera is on for the 3rd time in this game. Well, we talked about Justin Upton batting second, or where he may land in the spot, and Justin talks about the different areas that he could be batting.
I've hit from 2 all the way down to 6, so you know I'm comfortable in all those places. I don't really have a preference, but you know I've hit in the middle of the line my entire career, so I'm you know prepared for any of those spots.
Well, anywhere he hits in this lineup is going to be a good spot.
That's for right.
Here is Saltalamacchia now with 1 on, 1 out, and a ball outside from Ramirez. By the way, I want to send hellos to our friends at Fox Sports Southeast carrying our broadcast today, and all the Braves fans who are tuned in. Tigers jumping Atlanta early. They lead 6-0 here in the 4th. Saltalamacchia, big rip. A single and a strikeout in this game for Jared. Talking about the battle he has going right now with Brian Holiday. They're trying to outdo each other. Saltalamacchia came in batting .400. Holiday this spring is 10 for 17. Now the 1-1. 2 balls and 1 strike.
And Saltalamacchia was talking about making the adjustment to being a backup catcher. For the most part, he's been a starter his whole career. But he said one of the things, as far as the bat is concerned, less is more. He said early when he started to platoon, he really tried to do too much as a hitter, but he said he started to take a step back and let the action come to him. Therefore, he's taking a lot better swings this spring training, not trying to force the issue all the time.
Of course, Saltalamacchia coming here to Detroit has Brad Ausmus, who is a longtime catcher in the major leagues, and they've worked with him on his mechanics behind the plate a little bit, his setup. But make no mistake, his left-handed bat certainly will provide the power the Tigers have needed off their bench. A little bit high, and really this is a lineup that doesn't have too much left-handed hitting to begin with.
No, they really only have Victor, and they have Ghost, and on occasion they will have a guy like Saltalamacchia, whether Collins makes the everyday roster or not.
Here's the 3-2. Swing and a miss, and down goes Saltalamacchia.
Ooh, that's a really nice pitch there after a steady diet of fastballs in the mid-90s. He came back to pull the string on Saltalamacchia and threw an outstanding breaking ball. Let's take a look at our big boys, big play of the game. It happened just last inning. It was J.D. Martinez jumping on a Bud Norris fastball, hit the ball off the top of the wall, and it was signaled a home run.
And for J.D., his 4th of the spring as he rolls one foul, 0-1.
How about J.D. Martinez? 2 years ago, this guy was released by the Houston Astros. His manager at the time was a third base coach for the Atlanta Braves, Bo Porter, who was down there in attendance here today, but they just didn't feel like J.D. would make himself a good big league player, but man, did he prove the Houston Astros wrong. Last couple of years, he's put up tremendous numbers.
Yeah, Jeff Luhnow has gone on to say we cannot make mistakes like that again.
Cannot.
Here's the 0-1. High fly ball, right center field. Bonifacio battling the sun, stays with it. And that'll be it for the Tigers. No runs, a walk, one man left.
Hard throwing that trying to blow hitters away, and then had no clue what I was doing. Just grab the ball and throw hard as I can. Now it's just different. Now I think I'm a pitcher. I know how to pitch now. I know how to get hitters out. You know, trying to do trick here, trick there. Just trying to keep them on balance. So it's way different.
Frankie Rodriguez has certainly evolved as a pitcher, hasn't he?
Well, he's turned into an outstanding pitcher. He talked about the fact that he was a hard thrower earlier in his career, but 2 years ago he saved 44 games. Last year he saved 38 games for the Milwaukee Brewers, and the Tigers are hoping that he could really solidify the back end of that bullpen that they have, which has kind of been their Achilles heel the last number of years.
And he comes into the ballgame today. No wall side windows pitching change. Frankie Rodriguez goes to work. Tyler Flowers sends a ground ball to the shortstop off the glove of Aviles into left.
Here's Rodriguez's numbers from a season ago. He pitched in 60 games. We talked about the 30 saves, but look at the ERA. 2.21, 62 strikeouts, only 11 base on balls. In the league, hit just 189 against him. So stellar season last year for Francisco.
Only the second spring appearance. He threw a scoreless inning on Saturday against the Pirates. They have ruled that play an E6. Leadoff man aboard. As Bourne slaps it back out of play.
And Frankie Rodriguez has 386 regular season saves, which is the most of any active player.
Well, when Frankie was coming up with the Angels, he was part of a bullpen that featured Troy Percival, one of the best, locking down games, and he learned a lot from Percival in his time with the Angels and really broke into the big leagues at a very young age, pitched well in the postseason in 2002. And as he just told you, has evolved over the years from a guy that just kind of reached back to tricking him a little bit.
He's got a plus changeup, and it's one of the better changeups of any of the closers in the game of baseball these days. And he will throw it quite often.
I don't go to the games, but I watch every one at 10 o'clock at night when I get off to work.
1-2 on Michael Bourne.
I was so glad he got
for his career. Rodriguez About 10.5 strikeouts per 9. So that has been one of the main reasons he's recorded 386 career saves. Little pop-up foul. Well, to be sure, the Tigers really in recent seasons have not had that one guy, really, aside from Veras, who had, not Veras, who am I thinking of?
Valverde,
who had the really good season before things went south for him, to really lock down games late.
No, they've just had a difficult time of doing that.
Again, the 1-2 to Bourne. How could I forget Papa Grande?
I don't know how you could forget Papa Grande.
All the dancing he did after saves. He was perfect that 1 year for the Tigers. And Frankie Rodriguez brings a wealth of experience and success with him.
And the one thing that we've heard about him is he's willing to share all that experience that he's had since 2002 with a lot of the younger players that he might encounter in the bullpen or even in the clubhouse.
Very true.
We've heard great things about him and his leadership skills off the field.
First strikeout for K-Rod. That'll be the 6th strikeout for Tigers pitching today.
Yeah, another changeup. That changeup is lethal that Rodriguez has been featuring the last number of years.
Here is Jeff Francoeur. Well, we mentioned that Percival had a profound impact on Frankie Rodriguez, and you've alluded to this, Rod, but he now can have an impact on some of the younger guys that'll be pitching out of the Tigers bullpen.
Yeah, guys like Rondon, Verhagen, Blaine Hardy,
Wilson, Alex Wilson.
Yeah. By and large, very young bullpen, even Justin Wilson.
Here's the 1-0. Big grip there by Francoeur. Right. 6-0. Tigers have the lead here in the 5th. Here's the 1-1 pitch. A little bit low. 2 balls, 1 strike. K-Rod finishing 3rd of the Cy Young voting when he recorded 62 saves for the Angels. It's a lot of saves. And it's pounded back out of play. Major League record 62 saves.
Is $3,500.
2 balls, 2 strikes on Francoeur. Gordon Beckham due next. And a bouncing ball again to the left side. Castellanos cuts it off, and the Tigers will turn a 5-4-3 double play. Nothing comes of the air to lead off the inning. Tigers on top 6-0 as we welcome you back to Lakeland, Florida. Mario and Pemba, Ron Allen, glad to have you with us. The Tigers jumping out to an early lead. It is held so far. We've got a pitching change now for the Braves. Arodys Vizcaíno comes on.
He'll be in their bullpen again this year. And with those numbers, in 36 contests, 3 wins, just 1 loss. Outstanding earned run average. It doesn't walk very many, and he piles up some strikeouts.
So Vizcaíno will face Nick Castellanos to lead things off in the 5th. Castellanos, Collins, McCann due up here. This is the 3rd pitcher used now by Freddie Gonzalez. They had Ramirez in the 4th, now Vizcaíno in the 5th. Castellanos a single and a sacrifice fly, 1 RBI in the day. Couple of RBIs on the spring campaign now for Castellanos. A little bit high, 1 ball, no strikes.
I was talking to the manager, Freddie Gonzalez, before the game today, and he was talking about he does have some decisions to make regarding who his position players are going to be, and he also has some decisions to make as far as the bullpen's concerned, but he says they're not really difficult decisions.
That'll miss inside.
They have a couple of young pitchers that are Rule 5 guys that they drafted in the offseason, both out of options. So they're going to have to decide whether they want to keep those players or not, or send them back to their respective teams. But they might as well keep them because they're not going to contend this year. They may as well hold on to that young talent if they think these guys will help them in the future.
Do you remember how many Rule 5s made the Tigers team back in 03?
Yep. It was me. I was one. I was a Rule 5 guy. And then you had 3 other guys that were players.
So for a total of 4 then. There's the one Hopper to Garcia dug out at first base by Swisher.
It was Sperling,
Roney,
and Ledesma.
Yeah. Boy, that seems like such a long time ago now.
Really, you got to go all the way back to Will Ledesma, the last time the Tigers had a left-handed reliever that threw as hard as Justin Wilson throws right now.
That's a good point.
Phil Cope threw hard as well, but he was a little bit more erratic.
Here's Tyler Collins. Popped up and he butted for a base hit his last time up. 0-1 on Collins, who is again playing center field today. The Tigers have a good young player in Winton Bernard who really can run. He has not played a lot of baseball though above AA, or any baseball above AA. So Collins, a guy you figure with Cameron Maben out, will get a good long look in center. The 0-1 pitch, 1 ball, 1 strike.
And Bernard is just a fabulous story. A guy a couple of years ago didn't have a job, spent his own money to come down to a Tigers tryout camp, and was the only player that the Tigers kept out of about 112 guys that tried out. I believe he was the only one that was kept. And then he went on to be minor league player of the year for the Tigers that next year.
Yeah, he really tore it up in the Midwest League. And then last year followed that up with a fine season at AA. But Collins is a guy that has, as you talked about earlier, Rod, big league experience. But right now the guy in center field will be Anthony Gose. 26 RBIs last year, hit .254. Checked it. Did not go.
Gose is still very young and has a wealth of ability, and there's no doubt that he's going to be a really good big league player for a long time. He has all the intangibles. He's got speed. Brad wants him bunting once a game. He's been doing a lot of that. He's got a great arm in the outfield. And they've also got him playing a little bit deeper in center field. They don't want as many balls that hit over his head that were hit over his head a season ago.
Collins grounds it foul. Well, you got to love the straight talk that you get from Anthony Gose. When he was asked about analytics last week, he just flat out said, yeah, they're a scam.
He said it was a scam.
He just took analytics, put them in one big bag, and called them a scam.
Well, he used one of his teammates as an example.
He did.
He used Iglesias as an example. He says, you're going to tell me that people out there that are on their computers are saying that Iglesias does not have good range. The eye test tells all of us differently.
Meanwhile, Collins is out of the ground ball. There are 2 gone, and really the analytics did not back up Anthony Gose a whole lot either, but he did have he did have his moments in center field where he made some nice plays in really an expansive center field out in Comerica.
Right. That's why they wanted to play a little bit deeper. And Brad said he feels like it's harder for teams to get 3 singles in a game to score runs than it is for guys to get that double or that, the ball going over your head. He wants it to leave the ballpark. Brad does. If they're going to hit it over your head.
Here's McCann now with 2 outs. Vizcaíno has gotten a couple of ground balls. James looks at ball 1.
And plate discipline will be huge this year for McCann. His second tour of duty in the major leagues as a big league hitter. He walked only 16 times last year in over 400 plate appearances. So you'd like to see him a little bit more selective.
Well, he gave us some really good highlights, including his first major league home run in Minnesota.
Did not make an error last year.
Yeah, that's impressive.
Led all catchers in that department. Did not make one mistake behind the plate.
That first major league home run for McCann turned out to be an inside the park home run, which for a catcher makes it doubly impressive. We'll back him out of there inside.
100 miles an hour. That last fastball thrown by Vizcaíno. An easy 100 miles an hour, too.
Ground out strikeout for McCann in this game. He's 0 for 2. And he missed inside. That'll be ball 4. A 4-pitch walk for James McCann. They'll bring up Aviles, the number 9 hitter. Singled in a run as part of that 4-run third for the Tigers. And now 6 RBIs this spring for Aviles. Big swing there, 0-1. Aviles, a great story last year when he was with the Indians. Of course, his daughter Adriana was diagnosed with leukemia, and it certainly was very difficult for Aviles to go to the ballpark every day. But he reported to spring camp with the Tigers this year and said that she is cancer-free, which is awesome news for young Adriana. That'll be a ground out to Beckham, the second baseman, to end the inning. No runs, a walk. 1 man left. Bell Tire, get the lowest tire price, period. Bell Tire. And by Southgate Lincoln, American luxury with Michigan roots. What a day for baseball here at Lakeland, Florida. 6-0. Tigers have the lead over the visiting Atlanta Braves. Get your gear right now while it lasts.
Yeah, a lot of Tigers gear in the team shop down there.
Looks like the Tigers are going back to the bullpen now. Bruce Rondon coming in.
He's been in 4 games down here in spring training. You can see the earned run average is elevated, but that really does not tell the entire story regarding Bruce Rondon. Two outings ago, he went out and was tremendous. The 1-2-3, of course, the fastball getting up to 100 miles an hour. His last outing was not as good, but they talked about working on some things in the bullpen, and they're hoping that those tweaks they made allows him to go out and have success this afternoon.
Gordon Beckham will lead it off for Atlanta here as we go to the 6th inning. Tigers up by 6. Rondon 94, missing outside 1-0. Looks like we've got a new second baseman now. Kinsler is done for the day. Tommy Field now will take over. Bruce ready with the 1-0. Backed him out of there. 2-0 on Beckham. So we had Vizcaíno throwing at 100 miles an hour in the bottom of the 5th, and you've got a guy in Rondon who has that capability as well.
Well, if you're Beckham, you know you're going to get a good fastball to hit here, and you know it's going to be in the mid-90s range.
Way inside and low, and it's now 3-0. Fifth appearance of the spring for Rondon. There's a strike call. In the game we did last week against Tampa Bay, Rondon came on in the 9th inning and looked as good as we have seen him look in a long, long time.
Yeah, they're just hoping that he can continue to put together very positive outings like he did that particular day. And if he's able to do that, he will have him a spot in the Tigers bullpen.
3-1 pitch. Ooh, God, almost hit him. Ball 4 up and in. Leadoff man on.
Number 64, Emilio.
And we'll bring up Bonifacio, the number 9 hitter.
And that is the first base on balls of the day for the Tigers pitchers. Verlander didn't walk anybody through his 4 innings, and Rodriguez did not walk anyone.
Yeah, and it's only the 3rd base runner all day for Atlanta. Bonifacio popped up his only time, 0 for 1.
Yeah, where is that? Right here.
A double by Inciarte. Flowers reached on an air, and now a walk to Beckham, the only base runners today for the Braves.
Are you safe there?
That's in at the knees, strike 1. 98 as Rondon dialed that one up. But he got on Verlander today. Looked awfully good.
Yeah, I liked what I saw out of Verlander this afternoon. A lot of first pitch strikes. He used all of his pitches. The fastball, the curve, the slider, and the changeup. He worked all 4 quadrants of the strike zone. Lots of fastballs up that he had Braves hitters swinging at. I think he executed his game plan perfectly this afternoon.
No balls, 2 strikes on Emilio Bonifacio.
And Justin had 5 strikeouts.
K-Rod had 1. And now Rondon pitching here in the 6th. Here's the 0-2. Toward the second baseman off the glove of Field into center field. Beckham is on his way to 3rd. He'll get there. Bonifacio will go to second base, and he slides in safely. 2nd and 3rd now, nobody out.
Well, this ball absolutely scorched that field. Didn't look like he got a good break on it initially, like he didn't see it off the bat, and that's going to be a double for Bonifacio.
We'll bring up the top of the order now, Inciarte. First really good scoring chance for the Braves here this afternoon. Inciarte had a double against Verlander in the 4th. He cued it down the 3rd base line, did not score though. And Rondon delivers a strike at 96.
Inciarte, really good player. And can play all 3 outfield positions. He's got some speed. He stole 21 bags last year for the Diamondbacks. Also hit better than 300.
Here's the 0-1. That'll get away from McCann to the backstop. It goes, and the run will score. In from third comes Beckham. A wild pitch makes it 6-1.
James McCann is a really nice receiver and does an outstanding job at blocking balls, but he had no shot at this ball that bounced 3 feet in front of home plate.
A little bit of a meeting on the mound now. Wild pitch scoring the run. Bonifacio taking third on the play. One ball, one strike on Ender Inciarte. A .303 hitter last year with the Diamondbacks. Only 26 years old. Way outside, and Bruce's command not nearly as good as what we saw last week on our telecast. 2 balls, 1 strike. It'll get back out of play. I was reminded by a good friend Fred Human that there's a I should say a birthday in the Tigers baseball family today.
Who is that?
Paul Carey turned 88 years old today.
Wow.
The great Tigers announcer Paul Carey. So Paul, if you're listening in today, happy birthday.
Boy, did he have a great voice.
Oh man, great voice.
Goodness gracious.
Great career. Here's the 2-2, and it's outside 3-2. A friend of mine gave me a disc of a broadcast that Paul did with Ernie Harwell back in '76 that Mark the Bird Fittich was pitching in, and I was listening to it coming to the ballpark today, and you just forget how good Paul Carey was. Just a fabulous announcer. 3-2. Drill to center field. Collins in his tracks. This will get the run. Sac fly for Inciarte. Run scores to make it 6-2. They'll join us again tonight when the Red Wings head to Philadelphia to take on the Flyers. Our coverage begins at 7 p.m. with Red Wings Live. Red Wings and Flyers tonight at 7 p.m. right here on Fox Sports Detroit. Base is empty now. 1 out, and here is Eric Ibar. 2 runs in for the Braves. There's the ball low, 1-0. Ibar with a fly ball and a ground out, 0 for 2 in this game. Way outside. Rondon last year sidelined 2.5 months at the beginning of the season. He had bicep tendonitis. Of course, he had the Tommy John surgery 2 years ago when he suffered that injury in spring camp in 2014. Two balls, 1 strike. Certainly the Tigers upgraded the bullpen this year with the additions of Wilson and K-Rod and Mark Lowe, but if Rondon could contribute with his skill set, it could be a really good back end of the pen.
Really could, because you could use him in the 6th inning. You can use him as a combination with Justin Wilson in the 7th inning if you have to get a tough right-hander out, but he's got to start getting ahead of more hitters if Brad's going to trust him late in games.
Collins makes another play, and there are 2 gone. Yeah, and that's the key there, I think, Rod, earning the trust of your manager to be able to pitch late in games. And Rondon had that trust a couple of years ago, and then, of course, went into spring camp in 2014 and had the Tommy John surgery.
And, of course, the season did not end all that well for Rondon. He was sent home basically the last couple of weeks of the regular season last year because there were some attitude issues.
Here is Swisher.
Hey, Rick, I want to borrow one of them gloves.
That sails outside, 1-0.
And you wonder if they've got a spot for Swisher to play. Not going to play first base. Freddie Freeman, outstanding left-handed power hitter, is their first baseman. He pretty much plays every single day. There might not be a spot for Swisher in the outfield. But one thing we do know, he'll add a lot of life to that clubhouse. He has a lot of fun.
The clubhouse will get a lot noisier, that's for sure.
Nick's a good man, too.
Is that a solid career?
He has.
Throw him a breaking ball.
Solid individual.
But has not been able to play 100 games in each of the last 2 years. The injuries have really slowed him down. There's another ball hit in the air to center. Looks like Collins will make all 3 outs here, and he puts that one away to retire the side. Braves get 2 back. Bank game summary for the ball game so far today, and the Tigers riding the arm of Justin Verlander early. He was really good, Rod, and J.D. Martinez, well, he had a good game as well so far.
And Verlander with 5 strikeouts today. He threw 60 pitches and not walk a batter, and for the 2nd consecutive day. And J.D. Martinez plays long ball. His 4th home run of the spring.
So the Tigers will bat now here in the 6th inning. And they'll do it against the new pitcher. That'll be Lucas Sims. He'll come in to pitch.
And only 2 games Sims has been in. He has 5 strikeouts, 4 walks. That's not a good ratio in that department. And he's only given up 4 hits.
Young man out of Lawrenceville, Georgia, just 21 years of age. He goes 6'2", 210. And he will face Tommy Field to get things started. First at bat of the ball game for Field. He looks at a strike. And speaking of prospects, how about this young man right here? Dansby Swanson is the new shortstop.
Well, he is the top prospect in the Atlanta Braves minor league system. Got him from the the Arizona Diamondbacks in that trade last year.
And he's got a sweet name.
Yes, he does.
Vanderbilt guy, right?
Yes, he is.
David Price ought to like that.
You know that's right. And they say that Swanson more than likely will start the season in AAA as the shortstop. But they don't know where he's going to play once he gets to the big leagues. He might be a second baseman, could be a shortstop.
Here's the 0-2 to Tommy Field. Then he looks at a ball high. Ian Kinsler finished the day 1 for 3, had a double. And he's hit right in the back. So Field is aboard. Leadoff man on here in the 6th. Bring up Justin Upton. Upton aboard twice in this game. Walked, single, 2 runs scored.
In that walk he had, he fell behind Norris, the starter for the Atlanta Braves. No balls and 2 strikes, and able to work a walk out of that at bat. Next time up, singled sharply up the middle, one of his best swings of the spring.
In their first strike, 0-1. Tigers raced out to a 6-0 lead. Now lead 6-2. Fouled straight back, 0-2.
Here's that base hit we were talking about that Upton got in the 3rd inning. Take a look at the balance here and look at where he makes contact out in front with the baseball. When he makes contact with this ball, it's out in front. This ball whistled right back through the center. One of his better swings he's taken all spring long.
The biggest splash the Tigers made in the offseason, signed him to a 6-year deal. Upton signed that deal in January, on the 20th, late in January.
There were a lot of rumors out there that the Tigers were going to bring back Yoenis Cespedes, who was a free agent out there at the same time as Upton was. And the Tigers really didn't care which guy came back, because Cespedes was an outstanding player and when he spent 2.5 months in the Tigers uniform. But it was Upton who took the money that they offered, and he ended up getting the nice deal from Detroit. Cespedes went back to the Mets.
Little chopper hit towards second base. There's a 4-6 and a 3 for a double play. 2 outs. That'll bring up Miguel Cabrera. He's done on base 3 times today. 2 singles and a walk. Now you mentioned Cespedes going back to New York. He's tailor-made for the city of New York, isn't he?
He had a lot of fun there, and he's the main reason why they got all the way to the World Series. He literally carried them on his back for 6 weeks after he was traded over there.
They have a pretty good pitching staff, too.
That they do. Young pitching staff and talented.
So Cabrera try to get something started here with 2 outs in the 6th. Swings right through it, 1-1.
Cespedes also has a car collection like you have.
Yeah.
Do you see those rides he was rolling up in every day?
His is not quite as fancy as my collection. The most photographed cars of any of the players' cars in the lot every day, no question.
Say he rode a horse to work one day.
He did not.
I think so.
Oh, my goodness. There you go. Much fancier than these rides right here. A horse. Here's a 1-2, and it's fouled back out of play.
It got to the point where their manager, Terry Collins, says, enough of this stuff. We're going to start talking about some baseball around here, not all the cars that Cespedes continues to show up in every day.
I know Terry pretty well, and I could just see the look on his face when he delivered that message.
You know it. You saw him yesterday. He had a wonderful season.
And again, the 1-2 from Sims. High fly ball, belted pretty good in right field. It'll stay in the ballpark, though, Frank Coeur. And the Tigers are done here in the 6th inning. No runs. They get a hit, batter, leave none. You're watching Tigers baseball on Fox Sports Detroit, presented by Belt Tire. special green jerseys and caps that will be available for sale immediately following the game. A portion of the proceeds will benefit the Tigers Foundation. You can email ashley.boffman@tigers.com or call 313-471-2061 for availability and prices. So, Rod, you and I are going to wear those as well.
Yes, we are. We've got a couple of jerseys with our names on them. How about that?
Kyle Ryan goes to work. He'll get an innings worth of work here in the 7th.
New number this year for Romine. He goes from 27 to 17.
17. Well, 3/17. That's the date of St. Patrick's Day. There's a chopper hit to Romine. How about that synergy?
After the game on the 17th, we may have to go find us a green beverage somewhere. Huh?
Yeah. I'm sure we will. Here are the numbers on Kyle Ryan.
Ryan's having a good spring. 7 strikeouts, 1 walk, a 1.80 ERA. He had some time in the big leagues last year, some as a starter, some as a reliever, but the numbers he's putting up right now is getting him a lot of notice as far as possibly making the team as a long shot. But if he doesn't make the team, they know that they've got him down in AAA and they could use him.
A bevy of changes for the Tigers here. They've made a severe line shift.
The entire squad.
Pretty much. Everybody is gone. Flower is still in the game. He's batting for the Braves. Ryan works home the 0-1. Flowers 0 for 2, reaching on an error back in the 5th inning. 6-2, the Tigers have the lead here today. That'll miss high. 2 balls, 1 strike. Now the 2-1 pitch. And it's in there, a strike. That's rolled foul. Hey, we've got J.D. Martinez hanging out down on the picnic tables out there in right field. He's going to spend a couple of minutes with us. J.D. had a 3-run shot in the 3rd inning of this game, and it looks like your stroke's starting to come around this spring, J.D. Here's a swing and a pop-up down the right field line. This ball is slicing away, and that ball is going to land foul just down the line. Well, timing is probably something that most guys, I think, work on in spring training early on, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. That's the biggest thing is you can train hard in the offseason. You can do everything you can do. You hit off machines, but there's nothing that can simulate the game and the game speed and the timing of it. When you come back, everything seems so fast, and it's, that's the battle of spring. It's just getting it to slow the game down before the season starts.
JD, for a guy like yourself, how many at-bats do you need in spring training before you feel like you're ready to go for the regular season?
That's kind of hard to put a certain number on it. I usually feel like around 20 something at bats. I usually start to kind of have an idea of where I'm at. But after that, now it's just fine-tuning it and really just, continuing to work on things. This is the time you want to experiment on different approaches. You want to maybe I want to look for a slider here and just stick to it. Maybe I want to just sell out on a fastball. Stuff like that is a good time now for spring to experiment with that stuff. So when it comes seasons, you kind of have an approach on what you want to do when you get up there.
Matt Tuiasosopo stands in to pinch hit for the Atlanta Braves, former Tiger. We're chatting with J.D. Martinez, who was a finalist for a Gold Glove last year, J.D. And when you sit and think about that, playing just that one position, right field, had to probably help you out quite a bit defensively, didn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. They're not going back and forth like I had in years past. Definitely helped me just to understand that position and really kind of know what angles and where I was in the field at all times. Everything's a little bit different when you go from right to left. You know, you always seem to find more top spin when you go to left and a little bit more backspin and slice when you go to right.
Well, JD, a quick inning. We appreciate the visit nonetheless. Good luck this year.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
JD Martinez. Meanwhile, the Braves go 1-2-3 stretch time here in Lakeland. Top 6-2 as we go to the bottom of the 7th inning here in Lakeland. And don't miss out on the April Party Suite special available on select games in April. Packages include 18 suite tickets, 18 soft drinks, and 6 pizzas. For more information, call 313-471-BALL or visit tigers.com. Take advantage of that great deal. Jared Saltalamacchia will lead things off here in the bottom of the 7th. Hey, how about that showing bunt?
Why not? Yeah, the shortstop, Dansby Swanson, is playing his regular position, and there was a lot of room down the third baseline should Saltalamacchia have gotten that bunt down.
There's a defensive alignment for the Braves. That would have been a sure base hit. 1 ball, 1 strike on Saltalamacchia. A couple of punch outs, but he also has a single in this game. He checked it, and he went. Lucas Sims is still out there, his 2nd inning of work for Atlanta. Here's the 1-2. Swing and a miss. So Saltalamacchia strikes out for the 3rd time in this game. 1 gone. It'll bring him Nate Shearholz.
Now batting, the right fielder, number 62, Nate Shearholz.
Tigers have not scored since getting 4 runs in the 3rd in this game. They built a 6-0 lead as Shearholz steps in now. He took over for JD Martinez at right. We'll also see Jacoby Jones in this inning. He's waiting on deck, one of the Tigers' top prospects. It's a part of the game where the veterans and the starters take the rest of the day off, and a lot of the youngsters come in.
If you're a youngster, though, it's a time of game where you could make a nice impression on your manager.
Now the 1-1.
You know, Jim Leland used to say every single year the one thing that he wanted to accomplish in spring training, he wanted to play right around 500. Didn't want the folks up north in Detroit getting too excited, you know, with winning a ton of games down here. He also wanted to see as many young players as he could, which he was able to do. And you also want guys to stay healthy.
That's a fair ball and off the first baseman. On his way to second, Shearholz will make it standing up. That'll be a 2-base hit. Well, it's a good point because you want to win these games. You just take a look again at that hard ground ball. But you know, if you come out swinging the bats really well, pitching really well, and all of a sudden you're winning a ton of games, it does raise expectations.
It really does
among the fans.
One of the things that you'll notice about a lot of these surfaces down here in Florida and even in Arizona, if it's not raining a whole lot, the surface is going to be hard no matter how much they water the field. And there's been a couple of balls that have been hit today that normally would be outs during the regular season, but they've taken some wicked hops. 2 of those towards Swisher.
So here is Jacoby Jones.
And the ball comes off this young man's bat very nicely. He's got a chance to be a really good player someday. Really good player someday. Have you stood next to this guy, too? He's huge.
He's a massive human being.
He looks the part.
The Joakim Soria trade produced Jacoby Jones last year. That trade in July, right up against the deadline. He's out of Chickasha, Oklahoma. And Sims missing high and away. So he's gone to 3-0 now on Jacoby Jones. Played center field in college, played some third base in the Arizona Fall League. He's played short in the minors, so where he ends up is still a little bit of doubt at the major league level. There's a strike call. He was on his way with a walk.
Come on back, Jacoby. You wanted to hit anyway.
That's right. Now the 3-1. Healthy rip, 3-2.
You got to get started a little bit earlier. When it counts 3-1 and you know you're going to get that fastball as a hitter, you have to try to catch that ball out in front a little bit more. Healthy swing and by Jones, but a little bit tardy.
Little chopper toward third base, foul right at Dave Clark. Jones played his college ball at LSU. Another foul back out of play. Tigers have gotten a double here from Shearholz. They lead 6-2 in the 7th. Wynton Bernard waiting on deck. And he checked it. There is ball 4. That'll put 2 Tigers aboard here in the 7th inning. So Sims, since coming on, has hit a batter. He has walked a batter, and he has given up a double. Now here's Bernard. Here's the young man Rod and I were talking about a little bit earlier. The great story. Signed by the Tigers out of the tryout camp a couple of years ago. And last season with Double-A Erie. How about this? 301.
Stole a lot of bases, too.
Yeah, that's a big part of his game. And it certainly comes in handy when you patrol center field speed like that. 88 stolen bases combined each of the last 2 years in the minor leagues.
Brad has gone on record as saying that even if Maben is not ready by opening day, more than likely they will not go out of the organization to fill his roster spot when the season begins. And if that's the case, Bernard might have a legitimate shot of sticking with the club because he would be the only real true center fielder that they would have. Collins can play out there.
Well, when Maben first went down, I thought there's no shot for Bernard because of his lack of experience at the major league level, but that may be changing as we get deeper into camp. That's way inside.
It's a good sinker ball thrown by Sims, no doubt trying to get that ground ball that would get him out of the inning, but they're going to have to hurry. The double play combination they have out there with Bernard running.
Here's the 2-1. 3-1 now on Wynton Bernard.
Here's where you want to see the hitter take a really aggressive swing. You're looking for one pitch in one area, which is the fastball. And if you get that pitch, here's where you can do some damage. You've got to be ready for it. You've seen a lot of pitches already from Sims.
Line to right field. That's going to be a base hit. They'll hold the runner at third. Shearholz will stop there, and they are loaded up now for the Tigers.
It's a real nice swing here by Winton. It's a 3-1 count. He knows he's going to get a fastball. Doesn't try to do too much with it. Hits the ball sharply to right field.
So the Tigers threatening to add to their 6-2 lead here as James McCann will step in with the bags full. And Sims in a heap of trouble here in the 7th. McCann today with a walk, a ground out, and a strikeout as well. Missed it inside 1-0. Lucas Sims last year pitched in rookie ball, in A ball, and Double-A, and was 7-6 overall last year in the minor leagues with Atlanta. Here's the 1-0. Swing and a miss. 1 ball, 1 strike on McCann. Shearholz got this thing started with a double. He's standing at third now. Jones is at second base, and Bernard is at first. Way outside, 2-1.
And one of the things that has caused issues for Sims in this particular inning is the fact he's been behind just about every hitter. It's tough to get big league hitters out if you're constantly in 2-1 situations, 3-1 counts, which are favorable for the hitters. Another good count here for James.
And he's on 3-1 with no place to put him. Here's the 3-1 pitch. High fly ball, right field, hit well. To the track, to the wall, and that ball is going to carry out and gone. A grand slam. James McCann with an exclamation point here in the 7th inning. And it's 10-2 Tigers. With the thing a ton on a line to right field. This is the 12th Tigers hit in this game.
Let's take a look at the pitch sequence from Sims to James McCann. He has fallen behind just about every hitter in this particular inning. One swing here. Now he's going to go 2-1. And now on the 2-1 pitch, he takes a ball inside, 3-1 fastball down and away. Line drive over the right field wall. There's some wind blowing out in that direction, but that ball did not need the aid of the wind.
So the Tigers have broken this one open on the grand slam. That is their 2nd home run in this game. And the Tigers as a team now have hit 29 home runs.
That's more than anybody in baseball. One more look at this outstanding swing by James McCann after this pitch.
Slowly toward the shortstop, gobbled up there by Swanson. His throw gets by the first baseman Swisher and safe at first base.
It's a fastball and a 3-1 count that's down and away. McCann did not try to do too much with it. Simply dropped the barrel of the bat in the hitting zone, and a line drive with some nice backspin carried over the wall.
So Martinez and McCann with long balls in this one. The Tigers a commanding 10-2 lead, and that's going to be it for Sims, who could not survive the 7th inning. And the Braves go to the bullpen. As they do, will step aside with the Tigers leading here today in Lakeland. Members receive a Miguel Cabrera backpack discount ticket offer and a whole lot more. If you'd like more information on the Kids Club, visit tigers.com/kidsclub to order. Spectacular day here in Central Florida. We're in Lakeland today. The Tigers bats putting on a show as the Braves have gone to the bullpen, and Zach Bird will check in now. And Bird will try and clean this up after the grand slam by James McCann. That is in there for a strike. Field was hit by a pitch in his first at bat back in the 6th. Checked it and rolled it foul. No balls, 2 strikes. And the infielder Field. There's a bouncing ball to third on the backhand there. They'll fire to second for 1. The relay to first. He's not in time. Fielder's choice. He'll get the force at second of Romine. Field is aboard.
It's a nice play by the third baseman, Gordon Beckham, who started the game at second base. And Beckham, when he came out of college, he was a shortstop. Then in the White Sox, he played third base 1 year. Then really solidified the second base position for the White Sox. Really, Mario just didn't hit enough while he was in that White Sox uniform. But there's no denying this cat can play with that glove.
There is no doubt he can pick it. Gordon Beckham.
Freddie Garcia playing some situations here in this game here today.
Yeah, back to the bullpen they go. So Bird will face one batter. He will depart. And we've got another pitching change. We shall return. Out of the Atlanta bullpen comes Alex Torres to pitch now here in the 7th.
And the Atlanta Braves really struggled in their bullpen last year. And Alex Torres, he pitched in New York for the Mets. 39 games, 3.15 ERA, 35 strikeouts in 34 1/3. But he did walk 26, which is way too many. But he appears to have him a spot in the Atlanta Braves bullpen this year with the numbers he posted last year.
And he will square off against Jason Krzan, his first at bat in this ball game. Krzan taking over for Upton in left field. And Krzan looks at a ball low.
You'll start to see a lot of managers the last couple of weeks of spring training try to get guys in certain situations, guys that they may use guys in during the regular season. And there's no doubt that they will bring Torres in to face lots of left-handers, as Freddie Gonzalez has done this afternoon.
Krzan looks at a strike right at the knees. 1 ball, 1 strike. Jason, an 8th round pick back in 2011 out of Dallas Baptist. Tim Greaves signed him, Tiger scout. He is, of course, the son of Tom Greaves, former GM in Texas. Here's the 1-1. Little chopper right off his foot. And the look of pain on the face of Krizan immediately after he swung at that pitch. Tigers have broken this one open with a grand slam from James McCann. They've hit 2 more home runs in this game. Now Torres ready with the 1-2. Way outside. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Krizan. McGee will bat next if it gets that far. Tigers tomorrow will have Jordan Zimmerman on the hill. They will face Houston and Kissimmee. And then we'll have the broadcast on Thursday with the Cardinals coming in. Sliced and foul ground, third base side, Beckham. That'll end the inning, but it's a good inning for the Tigers. They score 4. The big bats in this ball game today.
Well, first it was J.D. with a 3-run shot to straightaway center field. Tigers lots of hits in between. But another big shot here in the last half inning. That one coming off the bat of James McCann. That would be a grand slam line drive to right field. And of course, Justin Verlander. Well, he was Justin Verlander today.
Yeah, can't forget about JV. He was awfully good as he continues to build up arm strength heading toward his opening day start. 4 innings, just 1 hit. And he struck out 5. Up to 60 pitches now this spring as Verlander threw 60 of them today. And here come the Braves now as we go to the top of the 8th inning. Tigers with a commanding 10-2 lead. Angel Nesbitt has come on to pitch an inning for the Tigers.
Nesbitt made the roster, the 25-man roster, leaving spring training last year, but struggled while in the big leagues and never made it back to Detroit. And pitched in 24 games with a 5.40 ERA in the time that he spent there.
It's fouled, back out of play.
Something else that Nesbitt said he struggled with once he went down to the minor leagues, he said he wanted to get back to the big leagues so badly, is that he just put way too much pressure on himself while he was down in Toledo and did not perform well when he was there.
Well, I still remember the look on his face when he was told last year that he made the ball club. I mean, it was a smile that was stretching from ear to ear.
Yes, it was.
And he's a very likable young man. And you were so happy for him to make the big club, but eventually made his way back down to the minor leagues.
Well, he's put himself back in the conversation again this year in that bullpen. He does have good stuff. Fastball 95, 96. Good breaking ball. And something that he says he has started to do with the recommendation of Frankie Rodriguez, and we talked about the leadership skills of Rodriguez when he was in the game, the Tigers' new closer. Rodriguez has encouraged him into throwing his changeup to right-handed batters, whereas in the past, he would only use his changeup for lefties.
Hard hit ball back up the middle into center field. Leadoff single for Frank Coeur, his first hit in this game.
Now then, the third baseman, number 7.
Here's Gordon Beckham. Looks like we'll also get a pinch runner down at first base. Smith will come on to pinch run.
Mallex Smith is his name. They say he can absolutely fly.
So Beckham now.
I was talking to Freddie Gonzalez before the game today, and he got really excited when he talked about his potential double play combination, in not necessarily this year, but in years coming. That would be Albies, and also that would be Dansby Swanson. And he also really loved the athleticism of this kid Smith, who's now on first base.
Snap throw. Lopez now catching for McCann. He's into the ball game behind the plate. There's Rafi Lopez. Well, the one thing we do know about this Braves system, they have been ranked anywhere from the best in the major leagues to third best. So we know they're at least top 3.
With all the trades that they've made the last couple of years, Kimbrel. Of course, you had Justin Upton, who was traded as well. Evan Gattis. That was last year when they really started retooling. And then in the offseason was Shelby Miller, right? And Simmons.
Yeah, some big names departing, but the future certainly looks bright for the Atlanta Braves, who, by the way, will close out Turner Field this year and then open up their new ballpark next year.
Tigers will play the final game at Turner Field.
You're going to be part of history, right?
Yep. Unless they are able to get to the postseason, which doesn't seem to be very likely this year.
2 balls, 2 strikes. And Gordon Beckham. Hard ground ball, base hit, left field. Beckham with a single, and Nesbitt is greeted by a couple of base hits. 2 on, nobody out. Hey, Detroit Tigers spring training baseball is live with the MLB.com at Bat app. Stay connected all spring with radio broadcast, video highlights, stats, news, and more. Download MLB.com at Bat. It's the #1 app for live baseball on your smartphone or your tablet.
It's my favorite app.
No doubt. I mean, that's probably in baseball season the one I use the most. Wear it out. Here's Bonifacio. Emilio in the ballgame today with a double and a pop-up. He had a 2-base hit against Rondon. He gave up a couple of runs in the 6th inning. He followed Ryan, who followed Verlander.
And good fastball at 94, thrown right by Bonifacio. But if you're Nesbitt, the one thing that you want to try to do here is get the ball down the ground. Bonifacio does have good speed, but he might hit it sharply at someone. So work downhill, work at the bottom of the strike zone instead of up in the strike zone.
Swing and a miss.
Good pitch. Real good life on that fastball. 95 miles an hour registered on the radar gun.
Here's the 1-1 coming home. Popped in the air to shallow center field. Romine back. Bernard coming in. Romine hauls it in. First out of the inning.
Now batting the DH, number 11, Enciarte.
Here's Enciarte. He's played this entire game here this afternoon. A double and a sac fly to his credits. Tigers lead 10-2 here at Joker Marchant Stadium in Lakeland. Mario and Pemba, Rod Allen, glad you're with us here today. Joe Nicholas, our producer. Mark Isofano is our director today. They're chilling in the nice air-conditioned truck.
Yes, they are.
Inciarte stands in now with 2 on and 1 out. Evan will get away from Lopez. Is it far enough to advance the runner? Throw to third is not in time.
Smith got a late break from second base, but we well documented in this inning just how fast he is, and it looked like Lopez was going to have an opportunity to throw him out because of the late break, but able to slide in safely. Take a look at how long it took him at second base before he really started to go to the next base. He waited a long time.
Pass ball charge to Lopez. Beckham did not move at first base. He is still anchored there, first and third. Angel Nesbitt, a native of Venezuela, 25 years old. Angel stuck in the big leagues until June of last year when he was sent down to the minor leagues. Here's the 1-0. High fly ball, right field, playable. Shearholz under it. Runner at third will tag and come in to score. Sacrifice fly. Pass ball turns out to be big in this inning. Inciarte gets his second RBI of the day. 10-3. Here is Dansby Swanson. His first at bat. Swanson looks at a ball, 1-0.
He is the #1 prospect in the Atlanta Braves minor league system. And Dansby Swanson, last year's first player chosen in the draft.
That's in there, a strike call. End of the season, the 25th best prospect overall is ranked by Baseball America. We'll get back out of play down the right field line.
Well, if you're going to give up a pitcher the caliber of Shelby Miller, which they did to the Arizona Diamondbacks, and the Diamondbacks have 3 years of control on Miller. The Diamondbacks had to give up some really good players in order to get him to slot in back of Zach Greinke. So it'll be Greinke and also Miller, the first two in that rotation for the Diamondbacks in 2016.
Now the 1-2. And a ground ball fair inside the bag at third base. Swanson has extra bases. This should get another run in. It's a double and an RBI for Dansby Swanson. Beckham comes around to score, and it's 10-4.
Well, Freddie Gonzalez, their manager, was raving about him today. Chokes up just a hair on the bat. Got himself a ball on the inner third of the plate, which he was able to turn on. Ball whistled down the line, and it gets all the way to the wall in left field before Kazan could run it down and get it back in.
2 more runs in here for the Braves. And now Swisher will stand in. He is hitless in this game. Couple of fly balls and a strikeout. He'll back away from strike one. There's a ground ball right side under the glove of McGee, who dives at first base. He'll try and score the run. The throw is cut off. It's an RBI hit for Swisher. And now a 10-5 ball game. Swanson comes in to score.
And McGee left his feet, but unable to knock it down. And it's been a rough inning for Angel Nesbitt.
To be sure, 1, 2, 3, 4 hits allowed in this inning. And the Braves now down 5 as Nesbitt goes back to work. There's a ground ball to first right at McGee. This will end the inning. So they send 7 men to the plate, and it's now a 10-5 game. Pitching matchup presented by Gordon Chevrolet. Thursday's probables, our next telecast. It'll be Carlos Martinez for the Cardinals, and our first look right at Mike Pelfrey.
It should be a good one. Martinez, who was slowed down at the last half of last year, has looked awfully good this spring. And Pelfrey, in his last outing, was really good. 3-1 already in the spring training. He had that fastball throwing downhill. Of course, he wore the Minnesota Twins uniform last year. And one thing that we know Pelfrey will do, he will give you a lot of innings. He's a big guy, strong guy, and loves to pitch.
Torres still out there as we go to the bottom of the 8th. Casey McGee leads it off and looks at strike one. 10-5. Tigers lead Atlanta. McGee 198 with the Marlins last season. Couple of home runs. That one darts low. 1 ball, 1 strike. 316 for McGee this spring. Signed by the Tigers in late February as a free agent. And McGee fouls it back. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Casey's best year with Milwaukee in 2010. He hit 23 home runs that year. He put together a few pretty good seasons with the Milwaukee Brewers.
Spent last year in Japan, didn't he?
Oh, well, he was
2 years ago.
2 years ago with Miami last year.
Yeah.
Now the 1-2. Bouncing ball towards second base. Albies has it there and throws him out, 1 away.
Pitching from the Tigers, number 75, Mike Gerber.
Mike Gerber now is going to pinch hit for Jared Saltalamacchia. Gerber had himself a year last year, man. He was starting to climb the Tiger prospect list.
He has got a sweet swing, Mario. And I was down here the very first week of spring training, and this young man, when he was taking batting practice and even when he was hitting off the pitchers in the live BP early, just a really sweet swing. He's going to play in the big league someday.
He looks the part. All-Star last year at West Michigan, hit .292. And the Whitecaps Midwest League Championship team. That is popped up foul into the seats. And the count now is 0-2 on Mike Gerber. Also had some pretty good numbers in the Fall League, in the Arizona Fall League this year, too. Hit .280.
Yeah, that's where he really put himself on the map.
Now the 0-2. And Gerber slices one towards short. Look at that pick there by Swanson. Wow.
Look out, Dansby.
Swanson with a short hop backhanded pick.
We've heard some great things about Swanson. And the fact that he can really play the shortstop position. He got over backhanded and then threw accurately across the diamond to get the out.
2 up, 2 down. Here's Nate Shearholz, who got it rolling back in the 7th with a double. The Tigers scored 4 in the 7th inning. The grand slam by James McCann. Tigers got 6 early runs. They've also received a homer today from J.D. Martinez. That was a 3-run shot back in the 3rd. His bat's starting to perk up now. Chopper to the first baseman. That'll be a routine play. And it's going to be a 1-2-3 inning. You're watching Tigers baseball on Fox Sports Detroit, presented by Bell Tire. Fox Sports Detroit is brought to you by Comerica Bank. Raise your expectations of what a bank can be when it's time. Come to Comerica. Your Metro Detroit Chevy dealers. Visit ChevyDetroit.com. See why Chevy drives the Motor City. Wallside Windows, we can do that. We are the factory. And by Weingarts, everything from lawn to snow. Back here in Lakeland, as we travel now to the top of the 9th, the Tigers 3 outs away from a win against the Braves. They lead 10-5. And we've got a new pitcher now for the Tigers. Jose Valdez will come in and pitch for Detroit.
And Valdez is having a spring that he would like to see his numbers go down a little bit. 8.31 ERA. He pitched primarily in AAA last year. Did pitch a few games in the big leagues for the Tigers.
Number 85, Williams. That's Trujillo.
So Valdez, who pitched in 7 games in the big leagues last year, most of the season at Toledo, will take over the pitching duties.
43 games in Toledo, 43 strikeouts.
First pitch is hammered toward left field. That's going to be a base hit. Leadoff single for Astudillo, who picks up his first at bat.
Number 74,
Now, Matt Tuiasosopo, we've talked about the Tigers ride and what the bullpen candidates look like. And the three highlighted guys, well, those guys are locks, but everybody else kind of battling.
Yeah, well, I like Verhagen as well. I think he's going to be on the squad. I do think that Blaine Hardy also on the squad. So that would be 5 guys. And you have a lot of other guys that are kind of fighting for a spot. You have Shane Green, who's thrown the ball very well down here. You have Bruce Rondon, who was also on that list. Kyle Ryan was on that list as well. So Brad's going to have, you know, very difficult decisions to make as to how he constructs his bullpen. But he's got quite a few candidates, whereas in years past, they really hadn't had that many.
So if Shane Green does not win the 5 spot in the rotation, certainly a good bet for the bullpen, then you think.
And it could be good for Shane Green, because last year when he came to the Tigers, of course, he was in the rotation. He got off to a really good start, a couple of nice starts. Didn't really struggle the remainder of the year, but this might be the year with the pressure taken off of Shane Green not to come in and try to perform as much as he did last year. He might go out and have a really good year.
Wilson, Lowe, and K-Rod, the guys that will pitch the final 3 innings, at least on most nights. But as we've come to see that as Tuiasosopo is called out on strikes, you need as much depth as you can get in that bullpen.
You're going to need all those guys before it's all said and done during the course of the regular season.
Here is Smith, who came on a pinch run in the 8th inning, getting his first at bat. And Valdez missing with a fastball away, 1-0.
Valdez has an outstanding arm. And that last fastball at 97 miles an hour. But really needs to keep the ball out of the center of the plate. That's why he does get hit, and rather hard at times.
Came back at 95, and Smith swings right through it. Malik Smith waits on a 1-1. Shoots this one to center field. That's a base hit. A couple of singles here in the 9th inning for the Braves.
This is exactly what I'm talking about. Even though Valdez has a really good arm, he throws really hard. But big league hitters can hit these fastballs that are sitting on a tee right down the middle, regardless of how hard you throw. You've got to work on the edges if you're going to get some outs, and you have to change some speeds to keep guys off balance.
Two on, 1 out. Valdez trying to close this one down. Strike 1.
Yeah, breaking ball there. Slide piece at 86 miles an hour. It's a good call by Lopez.
First at bat for Reed Brignac, former Tampa Bay Ray. A little bit low and away. Braves lost 95 games last season. Most for their franchise since 1990. They had that real good string of success, which they won 11 straight division titles. There's a slow roller that's going to get through. Base hit. Astudillo is going to be held up at third base. They were waving him initially. Now the bases will be loaded for Atlanta.
Yeah, Bo Porter, third base coach, had to take a look to see who was running and say, whoa, 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 big fella.
The big fella coming around third.
Come on back here.
Check this out.
Yeah, Bo saying, go, 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 go. Then all of a sudden he took a peek and saw who was running. He said, no, 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 you stay right here.
They put on the brakes, and the bases are loaded now with 1 out. Emilio Bonifacio has played the entire game. He is 1 for 3 with a double. And a bouncing ball back up the middle. Could be 2. They'll flip to second for 1. Romine's relay not in time. A run will score, but there are 2 outs. It's an RBI for Bonifacio.
Number 72, Fryman.
Nate Fryman will bat now. 10-6 ball game with 2 outs. Fryman getting his first at bat of the game. Runner breaks from first base with no throw. He'll go in standing up. Now Valdez brings it back home and is swung on and missed by Fryman.
Good slider there thrown to Fryman. And it looked like a fastball coming out of Valdez's hands at 88 miles an hour. And look at the movement on the pitch. That's where you want your slider, especially to a right-handed batter.
Fryman's big league time has come with the Oakland A's. That's it. The only big league team he's played with as he looks at a strike. And now Valdez, 1 strike away from putting this one in the win column.
And back-to-back sliders thrown by Valdez. He can come back with one of those mid-90s fastballs and get him a strikeout and send these Tigers fans home happy.
I'm all for that. Swing and a miss. Tigers fans will be sent home happy.
Yes, they will.
Braves get a run in the 9th inning. There's your final score. The Tigers beat Atlanta today 10-6. We'll be back to Joker Marchant Stadium in Lakeland.